Hello and welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about why I got a new audio mixer and also why I'm going to be replacing my Audient Evo 8, which was my previous audio interface. And if you're wondering, I'm just going to say it right off the bat. The reason why I got this mixer with an audio interface built in, which is, for those who are curious, it's the Mackie, I think it's the 12 FX, like 12 FX V3 Pro, it's something like that. But it is $350, so it is pretty decently expensive, but it has a lot of inputs, and that's the first reason why I got the mixer, because the Audient Evo 8 only had four. And the problem with that is that when I record, I use a stereo synth and a stereo amp. And if you're wondering, why not just use a mono amp and just plug it in like that? Because stereo just sounds better, okay? And in order to do that, it was kind of tedious. I'd unplug my mic every single time I wanted to plug in my amp. So, of course, it's just a lot nicer to have more inputs, not only because, I don't have to unplug my mic just to plug in my amp, but also for like future instruments. So if I ever want like a drum machine in the future and I need a mono plug, that would mean I would have to unplug even more. And I would have to make a bunch of compromises and just replug and unplug and do all that. And that's really tedious. So just more inputs equals better. And not only that, the main issue I had with the Audient Evo 8 was actually the preamps inside, because they were not very good. For example, on my single, yes, this is kind of self-promo, but You Don't Know, which is my new single that came out very recently, if you listen very closely, which I honestly don't have to listen like super closely from me because I am like already super detail oriented. Every time there's like a pop and a crackle, even in like a song I know like inside and out, if I hear it, I kind of won't be able to unhear it. But yeah, anyways, you can hear in that song like it's not even that hard to really like just spot, but there's a bunch of pops and crackles, and you can hear that in like the actual like guitar track, and it is annoying from me. It's probably not annoying for like other people who've listened to the song before. And like, in fact, again, I'm very detail oriented, so maybe I'm the only one who notices this, but still, for me, who's recording this stuff, I do not want a bunch of random pops and crackles like almost constantly throughout some of the recordings that I do. And the only reason why I kept those recordings is because, they were really good takes, and that's the thing that sucks. If I get a good take with those preamps, if it doesn't record correctly and there's a bunch of pops and crackles, I will just have to redo that take all over again and just hope it doesn't pop and crackle a lot. So again, I do not want that for obvious reasons, because if it's stupidly obvious that I won't have good recording equipment, that is bad. Unless I'm like intentionally doing that, but I'm not trying to intentionally do that. It's just doing that on its own, because again, the preamps on my Audient Evo 8, at least on my copy, were bad. They were just not very good. Another issue I had with the Audient Evo 8 that I talked about before was, for some reason, when I tried to do a stereo pair, which it is pretty easy to make something stereo, I will admit, the actual interface is actually pretty nice, but whenever I did a stereo pair, like with my synth, when I try to record, sometimes it just straight up did not like it. When I tried to do a stereo pair, and it just didn't work properly. Only one side would be at a leveled volume, the other side would be way quieter. And in order to fix that, I would rather have to turn the other side that was very, very quiet up, or I would have to unplug and replug that in, replug the entire audio interface in, and then it would work. And again, that's just another tedious thing to add on to the other tedious things. And as well as just the preamps not working that well, we're just all compound together into the reasons for why I got this mixer. And how is it working so far? It's working pretty well. I haven't really had any issues with it so far. The preamps work really, really well. There's really no popping or crackling. I can hear it all, and that's really high praise coming from me, because again, I listen for that shit very, very often. And I will admit the setup process was a little tedious, and it did take some time for me to figure out what all the fucking knobs did, because there are a lot of knobs, as you can see. And I did actually not even realize, how to actually make the sound go to my computer until I used this knob. So the blend knob was mainly the one that was causing me the trouble, but once I put it into the actual inputs and not the USB, it works. And as you can see, the meter is going up and down, and that's an indicator that my mic is working. And there's also a 48 volt power, and you also don't need to plug this into an audio interface because, again, it has an audio interface built right in. And oh, there's the name right there's the name right there. For those who are wondering, ProFX 12 V3, not the Bluetooth version, but just like the regular wired one, because I don't need Bluetooth, man. This is just a simple audio interface I just want in my just plugged in. And again, with this amount of inputs, that is really, really nice. I will say the line inputs are still a little quiet, but that's pretty normal for line inputs. That's just the problem with line inputs in general, that only have line, these ones. They're just not that loud. They are pretty quiet. So that's why I got a like mono, I think it's called TRS jack to an XLR input, so I could just plug it into the mic preamps, and they're a lot louder now. So if you have any problems with, like, a synth, a stereo synth, or a guitar amp being like very, very quiet, it's probably because it's plugged into, and you have it plugged into a line input. It's probably because it is plugged into the line input. You need to plug it into the microphone input because those are a lot louder, and the line inputs don't really have like an actual gain control. The only thing that controls the gain for the line inputs are these sliders, and even then, max whack. As you can see, I put this one on max whack. It was nowhere near loud enough for me. So yeah, there you go. Unless you like going into DAWs and just cranking up the volume for everything, like stereo, like input, jack related stuff like that. Unless you want to boost up the gain for every single line input device you have, which is, I don't recommend. I would just recommend just getting a adapter or just a cable that works with the mic preamps, because again, they're a lot louder, and yeah, they provide plenty of volume for the synth now. So, and if you're wondering how to record stereo, it's pretty simple. Just record, to record like stereo with the mixer. You just plug in two things, the things you want to be in stereo, and then just pan one to the left, pan one to the right. It's that simple, pretty easy to follow, and then just match the gain, which isn't that hard to do, especially when you have a DAW that you could just see the input levels and then just change it from there. And once I got that blend, like a knob figured out, and I got like it actually set up properly, I rarely have to really change much. I mean, there are built-on effects with the mixer, or built-on effects. I mean, onboard effects with the mixer, but I haven't used those yet. But from what I could tell, they're okay. They're not anything like super special, but they're a nice addition to an already really, really good mixer. And it also comes with Traction IEM, or OEM, not IEM. I'm getting too much into audio stuff now to the point where I'm mispronouncing things, or I'm just misnaming things. But yeah, it comes with Waveform OEM, which is pretty good. I will say it does not work that well with Windows as well as it does with Mac, from what I can tell. It just works better with Mac, because there are some moments where Waveform does kind of stutter or lag a little bit, especially when there's a decent amount of like tracks on it. But that might just be something I have to get used to, and I will start to use Waveform a lot more, because it is a really, really nice software, and it's actually not even like limited in what I could do. Like a lot of like light programs, there's not like a limited number of tracks you can use, or like a limited number of effects you can use. No, it's not like Ableton Live Lite. You can just do an unlimited amount of tracks, do an unlimited amount of effects. It's really, really nice, and I'm really glad that I got that software bundled in. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the audio mixer that I got recently, and yeah, that's basically it. I don't have a whole lot else to say, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.